Hello everyone, I'm Penros776. It's my favourite time of year, month. Mythic banner reactions. New Mythic heroes joined the battle. Okay, and as we kind of expected, we are starting here with Kvasir. Dark Mythic, as we fought Red Tome Cavalry. Let's start with the skills, shall we? Oh, this is good. Proper wall of text we're looking at here. We've just got the weapon and the special, and we've already filled a whole page just like that. Love it, love it, love it. Especially because this is a defense mythic. So, the weapon, the red tome in question, is the Incipit Kvasir. Good word there, Incipit. Accelerate special trigger, cooldown count -1 at start of combat. If unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants +5 spectrum to unit, inflicts penalty on foe's speed and res equal to 15% of unit speed at start of combat, neutralizes effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks, so full NFU, and grants special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack during combat. Only highest value applied, does not stack. And also, if it is unit's first combat initiated by unit or first combat initiated by foe that turn, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 70% during combat, which for reference is the first 2 strikes for brave weapons. If unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25% at start of combat, and after combat if unit attacked, inflicts panic on target and foes within 2 spaces of target. So, breaking it down, slaying, spectrum +5, speed res minus a whole bunch, special acceleration, 70% damage reduction from first attack, but doesn't get broken by brave attacks, unlike some of the other recent units we've had that rely on that sort of thing. I know Brave Gullveig actually has a bit of an issue with Ninja Black Knight or Ninja Zelgius for exactly that reason, and other tanks with brave weapons as well. At the moment, there's only a handful of them, but if they become more common, it could definitely be a problem. This kind of damage reduction gets around that. And then Panic Smoke, just for good measure. Honestly, pretty solid. A very high speed unit is always good to have. We'll have to see what the exact number ends up looking like, but there's definitely a possibility that she could quite easily end up properly like winning speed checks against pretty much everything except the very speediest tanks she's attacking into. Being a cavalry unit does make her a little difficult to stack, especially a range 2 cavalry unit, but I'm sure we can figure something out there. And the special, Light is Time. 5 cooldown special, so going to be 4 cooldown with the slaying. Boost damage by 60% of foes' attack when special triggers. That's a pretty chunky number right there. Neutralize effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. If unit initiates combat, unit special triggered, and unit survives, grants one of the following 2 effects after combat, once per turn. If there is only one ally with the highest HP among allies within 2 spaces of unit who have already acted, grants another action to that ally. Allies with Sing or Dance can be granted this effect as well, and also if that ally's or their pair-up cohort's range is equal to 2, inflicts restricts movement to 1 space on that ally or that pair-up cohort through their next action. Otherwise, grants Times Gate to unit. What's Times Gate? Times Gate. Allies within 4 spaces of unit can move to a space adjacent to unit that turn only. Okay. So, to begin with, it's a 4 cooldown special that's basically a whole bunch of Ruptured Sky stapled together. But then, on top of being that, it also does the whole thing that Brave Marianne does. Neat. And unlike Brave Marianne, who kind of stalls out if there is no one around her to use her sort of weird combination Gale Force and Dance on, this one has a different alternate effect where it lets allies around her start warping next to her, and 4 spaces is a pretty dang huge range at that. It means any ally that was adjacent to her when she started moving, because again, 4 move unit, free move unit, can then teleport next to her. So if they're a melee unit, they can attack the same target she attacked if that target survived. If they're a ranged unit, they can potentially shoot over that target and hit something behind them. Beautiful. And need I mention built-in tempo as well. So in most cases, if she hits once and counterattacks once, if she hits once and gets counterattacked once, again they release these things at 3 frickin' AM, then that's immediately charged, assuming her opponent doesn't have a tempo effect of their own. So basically, very, very solid there. There's still another half of the kit left. Let's go see what else she's got. Looking here at attack speed catch 4, pretty simple. It is one of the better A slots for cav units. Why not run it, right? B slot, lull speed res 4. We've already had lull 4 starting with Freya. This one's speed res minus X on foe, where X is equal to 4 plus the number of bonus effects active on foe, max 8. Excludes stat bonuses, and also neutralizes foes' bonuses to speed and res during combat. So, yeah, again, the fact that a lot of units nowadays do stack visible bonuses means that this can pretty quickly become a massive speed res minus. And honestly, lulls spend a lot of time as the best B slot. I think with their tier 4 variants, they are coming back as one of the best B slots to run on units that can run them if you're just looking for stats. And I think this unit is looking for stats, what with the whole null follow-up and the massive damage reduction. If you win the speed check, you're probably not dying, with a very few exceptions. And in the C slot, a new skill family entirely by the looks of it, Incite, attack speed. At the start of turn, if number of allies adjacent to unit is less than or equal to 2, grants attack speed plus 6, and incited to unit for 1 turn. If number of allies adjacent to unit is less than or equal to 1, grants attack speed plus 3 to unit during combat. And what is incited? If unit initiates combat, grants bonus to units attack speed, defense, and res equal to number of spaces from start position to end position of unit during combat, max 3 that turn only. So kind of a mini Spectrum Clash there. I don't think it's horrible. I do think it's maybe not going to work out quite so well on defense necessarily as a defense mythic. I mean, it'll work great on a cav line, because cav lines you normally have just a line of cavalry units, so there will be 2 allies adjacent to unit, and you're getting the full 3 spaces of movement. On any team that's not a cav line, like for instance all the teams that I normally run, you might have to do a little bit of finagling to make this actually work, or I mean, you can put her in a corner of the team and then it'll work, or the other option is, of course, just swap it out for a different C slot. There's a lot of good C slots out there, you know, maybe put a feud or something. Everyone loves feuds these days, right? But all things considered, considering I was already thinking of Brave Marianne as a unit who is kind of good enough to run on defense already, the fact that we've got a Mythic who does the same thing and also doesn't have some of Brave Marianne's weaknesses in quite the same way is very nice, in my personal, humble opinion. Okay, let's keep going then, shall we? See what the banner looks like. Oh, see some animations first as well. Oh, we're going Clock and Meteor Barrage. Nice combo. And there is the extra action effect, Refreshing Nerf Foos, as 2 Mythics. We get 2 Mythics. 2 of them. Okay, say hello to Gullveig, the Golden Seer, who admittedly we have also seen as well in the past. We have managed to keep it to 1 page this time. Gullveig. Well, Kvasir was a red tome cavalry. Gullveig is a colorless tome cavalry. And considering Safe was a green tome cavalry, where's the blue one of them? We not getting a blue one? No? Okay. Armed with the Quietus Gullveig. That's a fancy dictionary word as well. What are we, making an Ender Lilies reference here? Well, in any case, accelerate special trigger, cooldown count -1. If it initiates combat or foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at start of combat. Grants attack speed defense res +5 to unit. Grants bonus to unit's attack and speed equal to 15% of unit speed at start of combat, and neutralizes effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks during combat. If unit initiates combat, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 70% during combat and restores 7 hit points to unit after combat. If unit initiates combat, grants another action to unit after combat and inflicts restricts movement to 1 space on unit and pair up cohort through their next action. Will not trigger again for 2 turns after triggering. Okie dokie. I was getting a suspiciously long distance into this weapon and going, hang on, this is basically the same weapon as the last one we saw, because we have the same slaying, we have the same spectrum +5, admittedly on a slightly different condition. We've got the same unit speed at start of combat bonus, although in Kvasir's case it was reducing foes' speed and res. In Gullveig's case it's increasing units' attack and speed, but they're both by 15% of unit speed at start of combat, so it ends up kind of roughly approximately equivalent, just slightly different. We've got the same full null follow-up. Then things start to get a little different. Gullveig also has 70% damage reduction, only from foe's first attack, and only if unit initiates combat, whereas Kvasir technically had it if the foe initiated combat if it was their first combat that turn. However, Gullveig also gets 7 hit points of healing, and Gullveig's classic trick, the extra action after combat. That is going to get so many people. I love it. Does have the downside of reducing movement to 1 space, and because this is a cavalry unit, we do actually have a slight reduction in the amount of Gullveig shenanigans that are possible as a result of this. The classic Gullveig shenanigan, for those of you who remember, is that if Gullveig, for whatever reason, has charge from legendary Rynoka, or has something like soaring guidance to show her around different places, then the whole gravity effect of her extra action effect doesn't actually matter so much because she can go ridiculous distances anyway. Cavalry is a little difficult to pull that same shtick off with, because currently there aren't any tier 4 guidance skills that work on cavalry, I do believe, and you can give them charge, but it's not easy like legendary Rynoka easy. Still, it's strong on Gullveig, and it's going to be strong on Gullveig as well. I am a bit of a silly bugger, aren't I? The special, just like Kvasir, we get a PRF special, and somehow it seems kind of similar here. This one's named Time is Light. It boosts damage by 45% of unit speed when special triggers. Neutralize effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. So another skill with a half tempo. If unit survives combat after combat, if unit special triggered and unit survives, grants another action to unit and inflicts restricts movement to one space on unit and pair up cohort through their next action once per turn. This effect has priority over other similar effects. In such cases, these other similar effects are treated as not having triggered. Did I say she has an extra action? Forgive me, I meant she has 2 extra actions. Now, for those of you who are saying that this level of action economy is frankly insane, let me remind you that actually units who can do this are more common than you might think. They have been around for quite a while. Let me remind you, for instance, of the existence of every single Edelgard in the game. But this is, I believe, the first ranged unit who can do it, so that is quite intense in and of itself, and given how strong the previous Gullveig already was, the fact that we've got another one who can also do it is... my defense is getting so evil, my friends. It has the same gravity downside as well. That is absolutely fine indeed. And unlike Kvasir's, this is a free, so 2 with slaying cooldown special. And come to think of it, she doesn't have special acceleration, but she does still have the built-in tempo, so assuming she doesn't one-shot by accident, this should trigger every single time, and even if she does one-shot by accident, if she can hit something else on the second action from her weapon, then she'll be able to trigger it thanks to the second combat, because this is a very silly game. In the A slot, Flared Sparrow, we already know that Flared Sparrow combos hilariously well with extra actions, and it is kind of Gullveig's signature thing as well, so why not give it to her once again? Very nice. In the B slot, we have Occultist's Strike. Ho ho. If unit initiates combat, deals 7 damage to foe as combat begins. Okay, so another one of those Flared Sparrow pre-combat hits. Effects that reduce damage during combat do not apply, will not reduce foe's HP below 1, inflicts speed res -4 on foe during combat, and deals damage equal to 20% of foe's res, excluding area of effect specials. So yeah, not only do we have all the other shenanigans, we've also now got... I think this is meant to be a riff on Poison Strike, dealing with damage before combat instead of after combat is certainly kind of handy. I mean, Poison Strike was great and all, but this means that you don't have to wait all the time until the end to deal that damage when it would have really helped you beforehand. And at this point, frankly, the amount of pre-combat damage Gullveig can stack up is quite ridiculous indeed. 7 from Flared Sparrow, potentially 7 from Divine Vein Flame, another 7 from Occultist Strike, 21 per combat you could be looking at, and the ability to take 3 combats. Ow. And then lastly, in the C slot, we have Defense Res Smoke 3. After combat, inflicts defense res -7 on target and foes within 2 spaces of target through their next actions, grants attack +6 to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn, and grants Pathfinder to unit for 1 turn. So even going back to the classic Gullveig strategy of just initiating and setting up Flared Sparrow, you're then giving a path for all your allies to walk through, so that they can follow through and help you with all the evil shenanigans you were planning on getting up to. This is a very ridiculous Gullveig, and as someone who has been a fan of Gullveig shenanigans for quite a long time, and someone who likes doing Aether Raid defense, I am very much looking forward to running this unit, even if the rest of you are probably going to hate me for it. Again, I expect we're going to see some cool animations here too. There's 14 damage pre-combat. Ooh, kind of fiery golden orbs there. Not what I was expecting, but I do like it. Extra action goes again, because of course she does. We get to see a special here. Time is light. Ah, that's the clock animation. Fancy golden orbs again. Beautiful. And more fire. More actions. Yeah, it's quite silly, isn't it? Who else is on the banner? We have Legendary Sheeta, Safe, of course, Fomortiis, Legendary Robin, Legendary Yuri, Nafuz, Fallen Byleth, Haith, a Legendary Guinevere, 8, and that's it. That's all of them. Let's go to the good old circle to do the colour by colour analysis, but for the time being I'm going to be very excited by this banner. Okay, so starting by best color. Best color is actually kind of a tough one for me. Okay, so might go colorless for this one. Might go colorless. Again, it's a difficult call. Gullveig, absurd. Fomortiis, love the guy. Legendary Guinevere is a decent-ish unit. I mean, having a copy of every legendary is kind of handy if you want to do arena scoring. I will say that she does have some very unique fodder. If you want Null Sea Disrupt 4, this is probably where you're getting it from. So, pretty valuable unit in that regard as well. Going from the other banner mythic, Kvasir is sharing with Fallen Byleth, who I honestly big fan of Fallen Byleth. Might be struggling a little against these specific units unless you've got the right support to make her outspeed. But regardless of that, absolutely great unit. The built-in bulwark effects is really handy at, for instance, tanking cav lines if you can set her up properly. Big fan of Byleth. Legendary Yuri is, I think, maybe the weakest one of these, but still a unit with insane mobility thanks to foul play built in Canto, and he's a dagger, can run lethality setups pretty well, especially if you have allies to pre-charge him. So colorless, red, both very strong colors. Here's the thing, I also think green is a pretty freaking great color on this banner. Safe, offense mythic, really quite handy for just finishing up your clears of maps. There's a lot that can be said for her ability to pick a unit or a handful of units and just turn off their actions thanks to her res check, that when you're looking to kind of run round the back of whatever units are left alive after your initial team to get the pots hidden behind them, makes it so handy. Legendary Robin has been somewhat counted a bit these days, but unity stacking is still the #1 way of getting silly numbers of stats. And Haith just, the fact that she gives treachery support, right? Treachery and dual strike on later turns, and potentially up to +8 attack and speed, and Canto as well, just in case you wanted Canto, have some Canto. Plus she's a extra action economy unit because she can rally and then attack as well. Plus, well, basically what I'm saying is Haith is incredible. I mean, just in terms of the treachery damage support, she is able to blow up a lot of things that you would not think she should be able to blow up. And if pairing her with other units who are also like specialized in blowing things up, she can make them blow up really big, if you get my drift. If you don't get my drift, that's fine. Just bear with me, right? And then blue, kind of the worst color here, but still not terrible. Nerfu's actually a really strong Gale Forcer. I've been using her on offense recently. She can Gale Force. She can do that. Kind of shares a role with Freya, but again, offense mythics, you always want to have at least one copy because just in case they're bonus mythic, and well, she's just handy, honestly. Legendary Sheila, I haven't seen people doing much with Legendary Sheila recently. I don't remember if she has good fodder either. And Aether was one of the less exciting rearmed, but still a really big rearmed to pick up for all beast unit enjoyers. So if you are one of those, then maybe blue is kind of worthwhile. As always, well, me personally, I'm going to be probably summoning every color except blue on this. I'd like to pick up both a Gullveig and a Kvasir, and well, anything else as well I can grab. All of these units are great, but if I could pick up one of Gullveig or Kvasir before Spark, that would be extra nice, so that I can Spark the other one and make sure my collection stays full of defense mythics. That being said, I'd really like to hear what your plans are for this banner. Do you want either of these units, or maybe you want some other units also on the banner that's come back? Tell me in the comments. Thank you all for your likes and subscriptions as well. Remember that you can grab a channel membership if you want to use my funny little emotes. And well, that's been all. I'll see you next time. Penrost out.